There are a few things we want to let you know before we get started. If you're new with us today, we want you to feel at home and know that this is a safe place to explore your faith and experience God. For us, church is so much more than just a weekend service, and we want you to know that there's a place perfect for you at Fountain Springs. One of the best ways you can get connected with us is to fill out the connection card in the seat back in front of you. Take that card out sometime during the service and fill out as much information as you feel comfortable sharing. And then, after the service, drop that card off at our Next Steps area for a gift that's our way to say we're glad that you've joined us today. And that's it. Later this week, one of our leaders will connect with you. An incredible way to stay connected with our community, receive incredible resources and opportunities, is by downloading our app. From events and workshops to message notes, sermons, and weekend set lists, you can find all you need in one place. Download the app today on any mobile phone app store. Fountain Springs Kids is dedicated to partnering with parents to lead children to become fully devoted followers of Christ. Through age-specific lessons, activities, and small groups, your children, 6 weeks to 5th grade, learn about biblical truths and real-life application. Don't miss this great opportunity to help your children learn more about God's love. Check out FS Kids this weekend. Wherever you are in life, you have a purpose. And we hope today we can help you along that journey through experiencing and connecting with God in a real and authentic way.
Well, hey guys, welcome to Fountain Springs. If you would stand with us as we sing a few songs today. Help us out, put your hands together. Let's sing this out together. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Yeah. By highest heaven adored, Christ the everlasting Lord. Late in time, behold him come, offspring of a virgin's womb. Veiled in flesh, the Godhead see. Hail the incarnate deity, pleased with us in flesh to dwell. Jesus our Emmanuel. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Alright, here we go, sing it. Hail the heavenly Prince of Peace, hail the Son of Righteousness, light and life to all he brings, risen with healing in his wings. Mighty lays his glory by, born that man no more may die, born to raise the sons of earth, born to give them second birth. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Yeah. All right, let's keep it going. Come on. Keep singing about what he's done for us. Singing tenderness. in tenderness he sought us, weary and sick with sin, and on his shoulders brought us back to his fold again. While angels in his presence sing, until the courts of heaven reign. Oh, the love that saw us. Oh, the blood that bought us. Oh, the grace that brought us to the fold of God. All right, sing it out, come on. Grace that brought us to the fold of God. All right, let's get it going, come on. He died for us while we were sinning, needy and poor and blind. Yes, he did. He whispered to assure us, I found thee, thou art mine. Yeah. We've never heard a sweeter voice. It makes our aching hearts rejoice. Oh, the love that saw us. Oh, the blood that brought us. Oh, the grace that brought us to the fold of God. All right, sing it. Grace that brought us to the fold of God. Sing upon his grace. Upon his grace we'll daily ponder and sing anew his praise. Yes, we will. With all adoring wonder, his blessings we retrace. It seems as if eternal days are far too short to sing his praise. Oh, the love that sought us. Oh, the blood that bought us. Oh, the grace that brought us to the fold of God. All right, come on. Grace that brought us to the fold of God. All right, sing it one more time, come on. Oh, the love that saw us. Oh, the blood that bought us. Oh, the grace that brought us to the fold of God. All right, nice and loud, one more time, come on. Grace that brought us to the fold of God. Yeah.
Well, we want to teach you a new song today called Who You Say I Am. And this song reminds us that our identity is found in Christ. And regardless of what others might say about us, we know that we are children of God and that who we are is found in Him. And in the chorus of this song, it says, who the Son sets free is free indeed. And that comes from John 8:36. And that's when Jesus says, so if the Son has truly set you free, then you are free indeed. And so you see, a slave has no place in a family. But once we've been brought into the family, our identity becomes part of God's family, and that identity is freedom. So as we learn this song today, let's sing and declare this truth together. Who am I that the highest King would welcome me? I was lost lost, but he brought me in. Oh, his love for me. Oh, his love for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Free at last, he has ransomed me. His grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, he died for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. My Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am who you say I am. Sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. My Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. My Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Amen. Can we celebrate that? Well, thank you so much for singing with us. Go ahead and have a seat and check out what's going on in the life of our church.
Christmas Eve is just around the corner, so be sure to reserve your seats for one of our services across both locations on December 20th, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. This time of year can mean so much for so many here in the Black Hills. It can be a perfect time to invite one of your friends, family, or coworkers to join you here to help them start growing in a relationship with Jesus. We hope you and someone dear to you will join us as our family shares Christmas Eve services together. David, our lead pastor, will be up shortly to share today's message. So if you've checked your child into our kids ministry, be sure to have your phone on vibrate just in case they need to get a hold of you. Also, if you have a child with you and they're getting a bit restless, we have a room just off the lobby where they can roam around freely and you can still share in our experience with us. Thank you to all of you who serve weekly, give generously, and pray consistently. God truly is using you to make an impact as we all go through life together, showing the Black Hills who Jesus is.
We got married in 2009, and then we had our first daughter, Brooklyn, in 2011, and we've been blessed with two more girls. So I've got my hands full. I'm the only guy in the house, but I love it, love our girls. Life would be very boring without them, so.
So I grew up in a family where we went to church every Sunday. My grandpa was actually a Baptist preacher. I found Jesus when I was 7. I actually accepted him and baptized at 15 is when that happened. And Church was always important to me.
I grew up in a Christian household as well. Church wasn't as regular for us growing up, kind of hit or miss, here or there, didn't go all the time, but my parents definitely, taught us about Jesus, and, I accepted Jesus when I was 11. Was baptized around then. I don't remember the exact time frame there. We kind of, started looking for a church home in Rapid City. One of Tessa's coworkers actually invited us to Fountain Springs, and just kind of knew, that it was a good place to be, and a place that just kind of everything hit home, and you definitely felt like you were part of a community.
So we started attending about 2010. We'd been married about a year before the big renovation happened the first time with the church. The sanctuary was just small and cozy, we could call it,
Cozy,
with
yes.
with all of the fold-out chairs back into the lobby. I remember taking Brooklyn when she was born, just little, and walking, and into everything back behind the auditorium where they had the kids ministry back there to start with, and checking it out. And then the big renovation happened, and she got to experience the babies, the infants, and the 1-year-old room, one of the first kiddos for that area. And you could just tell it was going places, and it was really neat to see where the church was headed with that.
Yeah, just to see, the excitement of the kids from week to week to want to go to the 1-year-old room or the 2-year-old room and get to see what they got to do in there, and that they're learning about Jesus. And it was a big point for us that, that's what our child was going to be involved with, that they were going to get to be part of that, and really just growing their faith from an early age.
I've seen all 3 of our girls now come out of the 1- and 2-year-old room knowing who Jesus is, and knowing what a Bible is, and knowing the songs, and it's just cool to see little people like that just grasping it. It was really a confidence booster to know that with us and the church, the kids ministry, that they're getting that good solid foundation to have a good life with Christ.
We know that the next generation, obviously that's a focus for our church. The sooner you can reach kids and start ministering to them and getting them involved, the more likely they are to choose life following Jesus, and later on in life be able to have even more of an impact in serving in other areas in the community. They might have started off in the kids ministry, and then they get older. We have so many kids that are teenagers that help out on a weekly basis in the kids ministry, and it's just cool to see that they're already starting to give back. You're seeing kids get baptized that early in life. They've already decided that they're going to follow Jesus, they're going to serve him. So the more people we can get to help achieve that goal, the more kids we can reach on a weekly basis, the more people are willing to give, of their time and finances, the more we can, do as a church, as a group.
To have that good team effort of what the kids ministry is doing and what we're doing, we can just back each other up on it, and hopefully with that strong foundation so young, it'll help make those good life choices down the road.
I'm going to preach a sermon, don't worry, but I want to talk about what you and I just watched, what we just learned. I imagine that you're preparing for Christmas if you haven't started yet. Oh, wow. You're going to end up Christmas Eve going to Walgreens. Not that I've ever had to do that. I recommend you don't leave it to then. Anyways, so your preparation for Christmas is you likely are going to get someone a gift. That's typically how it works. I know we're growing up now enough that it's not the expensiveness of a gift or the perfection of a gift. It's that you are actually sacrificing something to give someone a gift, and it's a pretty big deal, and it's fun and exciting, especially when you have kids in the house, and to watch them open up things is pretty awesome. And what I find fascinating when it comes to Christmas, though, a lot of times we give lots of different people gifts, and we neglect, and I'm not trying to be like hurt anybody here, but a lot of times we neglect God on Christmas. We don't give him a gift. So as a church, we realized this, that many of us were doing this, and so we thought, okay, let's make sure as a church that around Christmas time, we focus on bringing God an actual gift, where we say, okay, I'm going to give this person this and this and that, but let's bring God a financial gift, and that's what we do as a church. So every year we do that, but we also help you understand, help everyone understand what your gift we believe God can do with it. And so this year, it's going specifically to an area that will help kids. And I know that you believe that kids matter. I do too. As a church, we do. We have an incredible kids ministry. But I got to tell you some problems that are arising that if we will bring God a gift, it's incredible what will happen. Here's some of the problems, just so you know where we're at. At West, the kids ministry area has equipment that is old, outdated, and it is now beginning to not function like it ought to. Now, if you're a good South Dakotan, you just thought, well, just slap some duct tape on that thing, and it'll go another year. Well, we've already done that. I just want you to know that. It's as duct taped as it's going to get, and it's time. It's time that we replace some of it. And so we need to do that because there's effective ways to teach kids, and we need to pay attention to that. At East, it's a different issue at hand. There are a ton of kids at West and at East. There are more kids at East than we expected when we renovated that facility. In fact, there are so many kids that we are now in danger of not being able to allow a certain number of kids into the kids' ministry because it gets full. And so what we need to do is we need to move some walls around. That's how that gets fixed. Square footage. You make bigger rooms. You change the space. And so we need to do that. That's more expensive, but that's what this is going to go towards. There's a third thing it goes towards. If you aren't aware of this, in our community, outside the walls, because I think that a church should not just pay attention to inside the walls, outside the walls. You agree with that too. And there is a need in our community in the world of adoption and foster care that needs some support. And I know that some of us think, well, let's have the government take care of some of that. Well, I think the church ought to get involved too. And so what we're going to do is we're going to help some organizations in town have some resources that they need to make foster care and adoption better than it is going right now. So we as a church are gathering around. We're circling around the fact that kids matter. You believe that. So let's put, as has been said for years and years and years, let's put our money where our mouth is. And so if you want, so you can participate in this. Here's the rules, because there's always rules. There's a time frame. There's a window. You need to give your special gift before the end of the year. So you have about 4 weeks or even less than that. You can do it right now. Just tune me out. Be like, I'm not listening to you anymore, David. You can go right now on your phones or whatever, and you can give directly to the Kids Matter offering, and you will help fix those problems so that kids can know who Jesus is. You can wait till Christmas if you're nostalgic. You're like, nope, I want to be Christmas morning when I wake up, and you give God the present then. Have at it, okay? You can do that. But we're gonna tackle this. And you need to know, because some people have asked, well, what if we don't raise what we need to raise? Well, then we don't do what needs to be done. That's the grown-up conversation. And so you and I can do this. It's not about the size of the gift. You hear me that? It's not. My kids are going to get involved. I'm not making them get involved, by the way. In fact, when we do this each year, they'll come and be like, hey, we want to give to this. And I'm like, you are so generous. In my mind going, I wonder who taught you that. And they're like, Mom did. Sweet. But our kids are, Katie and I are. If you want to know, well, how much should I give to this? Well, our philosophy as a family is this. I'll just share it. You can use it if you want to. We're going to give right beyond the line where it hurts. That's what we're going to do. We want it to hurt a little bit. We want it to be like, well, that affected kind of how many presents we gave each other. So that's what we're going to do. You're welcome to apply that or don't. But let's rally around, okay? Let's rally around this. That's not the only thing we're doing. We're having Christmas services. If you did not know this, Christmas services. Some of you have not gotten your tickets yet. And I got to tell you something. The tickets go fast. Now, I know some of you are like, there's tickets to Christmas. People shouldn't have to pay to get tickets to go to church. Okay, they're free. They're free. You can go on. In fact, you should have one of these. And if you're like, well, how do I get my tickets to one of the Christmas services? There's 13. You only get to choose from 12. One of them is at the prison. Don't choose that one. but I'm going to go there and share with the prisoners who Jesus is. It's going to be awesome. But there's 12 at West and at East, and you get to choose. They're on multiple days, and that's designed so that you and I can gather around Christmas to make sure that we're about what we should be about. So there's this. You got to go get tickets, and here's my recommendation. You and I agree that anyone and everyone matters. Let's say this one more time. You and I agree that anyone and everyone matters, correct? Right? Okay. So let's focus on the one part. Everyone, anyone. I bet you know one person that you could invite to one of the Christmas services, that you could help them even get a ticket, and you can bring them, and we will share who Jesus is and have an incredible time together. If you want to know, like, why we do so many services, because it matters. We're planning for over 6,000 people, but you've got to invite someone. And I think it's a time we should just have an incredible time together, but let's not miss the message of Jesus, okay? So get your tickets. Some of you will wait, and then you will find out that the service that you wanted to go to is sold out, and you're like, man, I should have listened to Pastor David. I was like, yep. So there you go. Okay, let's talk about our feelings now. Feelings, huh? Feelings. You got the song in your head yet? We're going to talk about what Christmas makes us feel. I imagine it makes you feel something. I imagine you have expectations. I imagine you've got something in your head you're going, this would make the perfect Christmas. And many of us are like, yeah, this is what would make the perfect Christmas, and it's not what's going to happen. And when we go into Christmas, we often have this temptation, I don't think I'm alone on this, where you're feeling something, but you're supposed to feel something else, and so we begin to fake it. We're like, how's Christmas? Oh, it's awesome. But internally, you're like, this is not what I wanted. So we've taken a series built around a question. Here's the question. What do we do when life doesn't go our way? Now, some of us are like, well, you got a quick answer. You're like, we hide. We just hide. But a lot of us have other reactions to this. In fact, I would tell you that if you want to walk into Christmas saying Christmas is awesome and you're being genuine about it, if you want to walk into Christmas and say, you know what, even though the circumstances around me are not what I want them to be, I still have peace. I still have joy, real joy, not faked. What do we do when life doesn't go our way? The Christmas story has something to teach us. Let me show you something that Jesus read in church. He rolled out this scroll and he read multiple things, but this is one of them. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted. Cue on the word sent. He sent. Isn't that what Christmas is about? Who got sent into our world, our neighborhood? I want you to know that Christmas is not designed for you and I to pretend that everything is going okay and perfect. It's to recognize that we all have had life not go our way. And Jesus came to heal the brokenhearted. So each week we're talking about something I would call it pretty intense. The first week we talked about what do you do when you lose someone or something that was so special to you. How do you walk through that? Well, here's what I want to go after this week. What do you do when someone hurts you? What do you do when you're just living life and all of a sudden someone said something? Someone did something? Or maybe it's the opposite. Someone didn't say something? Or they didn't do something and you find yourself hurt. Some of us say, well, you get over it. No. See, when someone hurts you, you have the emotions initially like, hey, I'm sad. Some of us would even admit to crying. Maybe you go eat some ice cream, watch a movie. But you know where you eventually go? You go from hurt, typically, to anger. You're angry. And I'm not saying being angry is bad. Do you know that's one of the top questions I get asked? Hey, Pastor David, is it okay for me to be a Christian and to be angry with someone? And I'm like, if it's not, then we both have problems because it's okay. Jesus even gives us examples of anger, that you can be angry. Anger is not a sin, by the way. But when someone hurts you, you get angry. And we all get angry. But many of us stay there. And that is the problem. I want to address that problem. Is that many of us have gotten angry. Someone has hurt you, and you're like, this was bad, and we all would agree, yes, that's bad, what they did, what they said. But many of us have camped out. We've been like, but that's where I'm staying. In fact, right now, just imagine, I'm not sorry to turn to stir you up, but in your brain, don't answer out loud, could you make a list of people you're currently angry with? Probably. Probably you could list like, hey, this person hurt me in this way, or this person hurt someone close to me, and we can make a list. It's actually not very difficult to make a list of people that you're angry with. But the problem is what if you stay there for the rest of your life? Angry with that person. And then a preacher will get up and be like, hey, forgive him. And you're like, it seems unrealistic, doesn't it? Someone hurts you bad enough, you're like, I'm supposed to forgive and pretend like nothing happened. What in the world? Well, I want to go after that. You know, the Christmas story has an angry piece to it. It has an angry piece. In fact, it includes a character that you and I do not put into our nativity scenes. It's because he's so toxic. He's so bad, we left him out. It's why when you read the Christmas story and talked about the Christmas story with your kids, you're like, this guy, just stay over there. His name's Herod. Herod is king. He's known by some as a really good king. But he gets visited by the Magi. You might know them as the kings. We three kings of, okay. Those guys come and visit him because this makes sense. It's deductive reasoning. Hey, we've heard there's a king of the Jews that has just been born. And so in order to find out where the king of the Jews is, we need to go talk to the king who actually currently oppresses the Jews. That's how it worked. So they go visit the king. And here's how this plays out. When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed. When he heard there was a new king, he was disturbed. That makes sense. It's kind of like when they brought it up, they probably thought, maybe we're not in the best place right now. And all Jerusalem with him, when he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. So far, you're like, no big deal. Of course, the king's like, there's a new king. I want to know where he's born. Let's talk about this. But then he begins to devise a plan. The Bible reads the plan for us or shares it with us. Herod called the Magi secretly. There's a bit of a glimpse of there's a problem right now. And found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me so that I too may go and worship him. So far, he sounds like a pretty nice guy. Huh? King Herod. He's just ruling his area. All of a sudden, these guys come and say, hey, there's a new king of the Jews. And he's like, cool, where's he at? Let's find out where he is. Let me help you. In fact, here's a map of the area. Fellas, why don't you go look, but make sure you let me know so that I too can go worship him. You need to know he is lying. Maybe you don't know much about King Herod. He was respected by many because he was an incredible builder. Incredible builder. I've been to Israel multiple times, and you can go to Israel right now, and you can actually see buildings that he had built that still stand. That's incredible. In fact, there's an era in history attributed to King Herod when it comes to building because he was so good at it. He's brilliant. He was brilliant at saying, here's the plan, here's what we're going to do, and he actually was able to make a plan and make the plan work. Some of us were like, I'd like to work with those kinds of people, right? Here's the plan, here's what we're going to do, and it actually played out and worked. It's awesome. From afar, at times, he seemed like a brilliant person, but he had a dark side that you may not be aware of. A very dark side. If you just did some history study, you would find out that he was extremely evil. In fact, the emperor of the time in which he was king is coined a term and actually said this is in history books. It was safer to be one of King Herod's pigs than it was to be one of his sons. In fact, at one moment, King Herod was so skeptical about the Supreme Court that they had them all murdered because he was like, I think they're out to get me. It got worse. He even had his own family members, some of his kids, his wife, his mom, had them murdered too. He was a bad man. And I would tell you the root of it was some anger, completely unresolved. And so when he's saying, hey, why don't you guys you go find out where this new king is born, and I'm going to go worship him? In fact, I'll show you. When Herod realized that he had been outwitted by the Magi, by the way, if you're wondering, did they go tell him? No, they didn't. That God gave him a dream saying, hey, if you're thinking about going back, don't go back. Don't go to the king. So they don't go to the king. I think they probably had a vibe anyways, going, I don't think we should be here. When he realized he'd been outwitted by the Magi, and he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time he had learned from the Magi. Welcome to the Christmas story. See, this is the stuff that if we read it, we skim over it because we're like, that's too intense. But I think there's life lessons here. I think there's lessons where you and I know you may not identify with King Herod. I mean, is that not one of the worst things? I mean, that's horrible. That's horrible. And I know most of us like, I would never do that. I don't think you would ever do that. I don't think you and I would tend to take our anger or unresolved anger and lead it to being that bad. And I get that. But here's what I think. I think many of us right now have unresolved anger that we are in danger of not killing somebody physically. But with our words we are. Have you ever witnessed someone with their words all of a sudden blowing up? My guess is it's an obvious yes. Recently, Katie and I walked into a store. I'm not going to tell you which store because it's just too small of a town. We walked into a store, and it appears that we not only walked into a store, we walked into a fight. That was awkward between the manager and a customer. And you probably have been there where you walk in and you're like, oh, honey, just back out, back. What? You don't know what to do. You're like, this is not supposed to be happening. And I remember even afterwards, an employee came up and was like, so guys, what would you like to do? We're like, we don't want to be around that. It's intense if you've ever seen it happen. In fact, I did research. I wondered if it's happening elsewhere. Oh, it is. You might get offended by some of this. But it's fine. Don't worry about it. I wondered, like, if for shopping, like, is that just a weird thing Katie and I experienced? It appears to not be. Here's one example. This teenager was working a roller coaster. If you've ever been on a roller coaster, you know that there's employees up by the roller coaster helping you get onto the roller coaster, running it and doing whatever they're doing. And there's also now, there's cubbies. Have you ever seen it? Like if you've got like a giant drink or a giant cowboy hat or something, or they help you like so it doesn't fall off. So you're not later going, hey, can I go down there behind that fence and get that? I dropped that thing. Or so it doesn't hit somebody else. Well, this kid goes up to this woman and says, hey, may I put your purse, he doesn't say this, but it was a large purse, into the cubby so that when you get back, it'll be there safe and sound, everything's good. Very nice, right? Here was her initial response. That's key, initial. I bleeped all these things out, so don't worry about it. My bleep purse better be here when I get back, or I'm going to get my man up here and shoot your mother bleep dead. That was her response, right out of the gate. I'd say that's unresolved anger. I'd say there's something there. There's like, this isn't about the person in the moment, right? You're catching that? You're smart enough. Here's more just in case you didn't catch that one. There was a guy, first week on the job, and all of a sudden he finds himself at the cash register. He wasn't supposed to be at the cash register, but some other employees were sick, and so they're like, hey, you got to work at the cash register. We'll teach you real quick. So he's at the cash register, doesn't really know what to do, hasn't had many interactions with customers. And a customer comes up. Sorry, I'm laughing because I know what happens. Customer puts 2 items up on the counter. The employee rings it up. They are each 60 cents. That's important. They're each 60 cents, 2 items. You can do the math all by yourself. Rings it up. But then the customer's like, oh, no, those are 50 cents. And now the employee who's inexperienced with people begins to bring up, well, I understand that's actually probably how they were marked over there, and I'm sorry, but I gotta charge you 60 cents for each of these items. Okay, here was his response. You don't care. It's like, okay. You think you're big and tall standing over there, actually. Well, I'll hop over there and beat your bleep. I'm a world karate champion. I'll kick your bleep in a second. That just happened over 20 cents. Just if you didn't do the math and you're like, I don't get it, 20 cents. 20 cents. And a kid's life is being threatened. I think we have anger issues. Now, I know some of you are like, I would never do that. I would never do that. One I read was this woman comes into a grocery store with a pie, goes to the manager, and this is true, says it was supposed to be cooked and done, and it wasn't. And they'd actually had this happen before. So the manager begins to ask her what kind of pie so that he can have an employee go get a new pie to bring it to her. And he says that I didn't get 3 words out before the pie was actually in my face. You may not relate, but I wonder what your conversations are like in your homes, at your workplaces. Perhaps what you say to a friend about another person. I think many of us have anger that is unresolved, and it's in a dangerous situation. Here's what I think. I think like Herod, you and I have a similarity where we don't know what to do with our anger. We don't know what to do. In fact, I wonder, what are people doing? I mean, I know you know some answers, and it's cruel, but like, what are the less cruel, the therapeutic ways that people are actually managing their anger? And I found something. It appears people in Canada are upset. They're angry. And so they've created what's called rage rooms. Rage rooms. So all we did was we grabbed their promotion video, and I thought you should see their promotion video to know what people are doing regarding managing their anger. Take a look. Some of you are Googling if we have one in Rapid already. You're like, you can investigate these folks on the internet. They have multiple packages you can purchase. One of them is date night, which I just thought, wonder how that would go. They said the most requested item are office products because people are so mad about work. I think it's a brilliant business model, by the way. Let me tell you why. Because it only manages your anger. I think in the moment you go and you even leave with some adrenaline pumping, you're like, that was awesome. I feel better, right? But I know the next day they don't feel better. And the reason it's a brilliant business model because you have to have repeat customers. That's why it works. Because they're coming back. Once they experience the adrenaline rush of managing, but you and I can't do that. It doesn't resolve it. And if you don't resolve it, you end up having this pain. What have you been doing with your anger? If you're in danger of not resolving it, I need to tell you some very harsh truth. If left unresolved, your anger can turn into cruelty. That's what happened with Herod. Herod went from angry, actually, he went from hurt to anger to cruelty. And many of us, the words that we're using with each other, I would say they're cruel. In fact, nowadays you don't even have to say it. You can type it. You can text it. I think we live in an extremely cruel environment. And you're like, why are we so cruel? And I would say it's because we've got unresolved anger. So what do? Do we fake not being angry? Do we just be nice when we don't really mean it? I mean, is that the answer? Christmas, right? Hey, smile even though you want to do things to that person you're smiling at? Like, is that what you know? No, don't fake it. It's not fake. In fact, Jesus teaches us. Jesus said, you want to know what to do? I'll tell you what to do. Remember, he came to heal our broken hearts. So he said, let me help you. There's two things I want to show you taught. They're huge. Here's the first one. Then he said to them all, whoever wants to be my disciple. If you don't know what a disciple is, maybe you're new to church. We call them now Christians, follower of Jesus. But disciple, if you want to be devoted to Jesus, my disciples must deny themselves and take up the cross daily and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it. But whoever loses their life for me will save it. Cue on this last one. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world and yet lose or forfeit their very self? I want to put a spin on this that I think is very accurate. A lot of times when we read this, what good is it to gain, the whole world? We think of that in positive, right? Like, gain, notoriety or privilege or money or whatever, right? What if it also means, what good is it for someone to get the revenge that they want, yet lose their self, their soul? See, many of us aren't going after being the richest people, but we're going after what others have done to us. You know that when you live a life where you're like, this happened to me, they did this, that you are right. If you're like, life isn't fair, I can't believe I don't get the life that those other people get. David, do you even know what they said, what they did, how it played out? And we begin to dwell like, hey, this hurt me, and you're not wrong for that. You're right, and it's legitimate, and it's not fair to you. But many of us, we say that, we speak it, but then, like I said, we stay there. And you may not like this, but it's true. If you decided that every day when you wake up and you live your life going, this is not fair, I can't believe they did this, and you begin to dwell on yourself from morning till evening, and it's even the bad, not the good. You're not being arrogant, but you're self-centered. If your whole day is governed by what you deserve and what you should get and how people should have treated you, you've become self-centered. Not in an arrogant way, the opposite way, but still dangerous. Jesus says, you need to pick up your cross. I think we're not sure exactly what that means. We've heard it before. If you've ever been in church, you've heard someone talk about, hey, Jesus said, you want to follow me? You need to pick up your cross daily. Well, you need to hear, okay, here's how they heard it when he first said it. He said cross, and they're like, whoa. It would have stirred them up. They're like, did you just say cross? Kind of like some of you like, the pastor said bleep, and we don't know what to do with that right now. Well, when Jesus said, hey, you need to pick up your cross, they would have been like, because to them, the cross was a tool for humiliating people. That's what it was. The cross was not this glorious reminder yet for them. It was a torture device. And in fact, if you ever picked up your cross, do you know that's the last thing you ever did? And they knew it. If anyone picked up a cross like, hey, this is my cross, it meant this is a one-way street. I'm going to die. It was not glorified. It was not pretty. It was not religious. And Jesus says, you want to follow me? Okay. Every day you need to pick up your cross. Be willing to be humiliated. Die to the focus that you have on yourself. Do you see why it's so tough to follow Jesus sometimes? Here's what I think he's saying. You can't be self-centered and Jesus-centered at the same time. You can't. And a lot of times, like I said, we put self-centered as, I don't think I'm better than everyone else. David, come on. Well, self-centered can be living like a victim for the rest of your entire life. If you live self-centered and you dwell on your hurt when someone hurt you, that will make you angry, as we already talked about. But you know where it lands if you just stay there? You begin to hate that person, don't you? Let me ask you another question that you may not want to answer, but don't answer it out loud. Could you make a list of not only the people you're angry with, could you make a list of the people that you hate? I know most of us are like, no, I don't I don't hate anyone. There's just a few I wish didn't exist. Well, if you want to get healed, you have to be able to get to this place where there potentially could be a list in your mind right now of people you hate. And I need to tell you something that I've had to learn, and it's not been easy to learn it. We can't hate or hurt away. I've tried. Perhaps you have too. Where someone hurt you, you got angry. It landed eventually on you hated them and could not even imagine the thought of them. And so you thought, at least in your mind, I'm just going to hate them. And your hurt didn't leave, did it? I would say you just watered your hurt. And Jesus says, you want peace? You want joy? You want salvation? You want to follow Jesus? Then each day we wake up and we carry our cross. Even though people hurt us. But I still don't think you and I are at the place where we're like, pick up a cross. Okay. We leave. Pastor said, Jesus said, pick up the cross. I'm going to pick up my cross. And we're still going, I still don't know what that means. So I thought I would give some color to it. What does your cross look like? Last week I showed you something Jesus taught. God blesses those who mourn, for they will be comforted. By the way, if you've encountered loss, if you've lost someone or something who you love, that you valued, and you're like, I don't know how to, I've lost all peace and joy, you need to go watch that message. And we talked about how you need to mourn. If you want comfort, you need to mourn. Jesus taught this. He's amazing, trying to help heal our broken hearts. Well, I think he addresses our cross if you're angry, because he kept teaching. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. For many of us right now, if you can make a list of the people that you hate or that you're angry with, I want to tell you what your cross is. What cross you need to pick up at least every day for a while is the mercy cross. And I know I just lost some of you, because you're like, I knew you'd get there. Isn't this the toughest part? When someone hurts you, and then some preacher man gets up and says, oh, I know what to do. You just forgive them. And then we begin to make up things in our head what forgiveness. We think, oh, forgive them, that means I got to go back to exactly where we started and where it was all good. And we just pretend, we just sweep it under, and we just, hey, everything's good. I trust you again. You're awesome. No, you don't feel that. If you've ever struggled with forgiveness, you need to listen very closely. Jesus just said, pick up your cross, and it's the mercy cross. But I'm not sure we know what mercy means. Oftentimes we say mercy and grace and forgiveness in the same sentence, don't we? Hey, we need to give mercy and grace and forgiveness. Yay! Right? It's good. It's good. I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying we mesh it all together and we're like, oh, it must all mean the same thing. No, it doesn't actually. Here's my best shot at a definition of mercy. Refusing to punish when you have the right to punish. Many of us have been taught, I should forgive. I should forgive. If I want mercy, I should give mercy. And we begin to mesh it together, and we don't actually know what it means, and we don't know what we're doing. Let's stop pretending. Refusing to punish. Refusing to punish. The first step to forgiveness is setting your sword down. The first step to forgiveness is saying, I'm not going to hurt them back. I'm not going to wound them too. I'm not going to go after them like they went after me. It doesn't mean that you're like, oh yeah, it's all good. No, it's not all good. If you actually one day want to get to peace and joy, you take what Jesus taught us and you give mercy. And guess what? It's like carrying a cross every day. That's how hard it is. Where you wake up and say, you know what? That person hurt me. but I'm not going to punish them today. Many of you are like, but I don't feel that, David. And I don't question you, or I think you're normal if you're like, I don't feel like giving them mercy. I understand that. So let me help you more with mercy. Mercy is not an emotion. It's a sacrifice. Many of us have been treating mercy like it's an emotion, haven't we? Hey, when I feel like I'm healed, when I feel like I'm over this, when I get beyond these moments, then I'm going to go after giving them mercy. That's what it's most of. When I feel like I'm ready, guess what? You probably won't ever feel like you're ready. I thought about this week. I think mercy and generosity are the same. Let me explain. Sometimes someone will say, hey, you should be generous. And you're like, I'd love to be generous. I would love to be generous, but I can't right now. I can't afford it. And many of us think that if we had more money, then we would give more. And I'm telling you, no, you wouldn't. Generosity comes out of sacrifice, where you don't have enough and it doesn't make sense, but God provides anyways. Mercy's the same way. You won't feel like you've got it. You won't want to do it. It'll be so powerfully against you in the moment where you're like, but they. You sacrifice. You pick up your cross and say, I'm not going to punish them today. Let me take this one step further. You can't have peace and hold a grudge, so there's your choice. I just wanted to show you your choice. Some of you, I imagine in this battle, because I think this is a spiritual battle, I think some of us are like, I hear what you're saying, I agree with what you're saying, but I'm just not going to choose what you're saying. Right? You're going to make one choice, either the grudge or peace. You can't have them both. In case there were parts of the sermon that you disconnected and you weren't sure exactly what we're talking about, I thought I'd summarize the whole thing. We heal our broken hearts by giving mercy. If you have unresolved anger in your life and you want that peace, you want a healed heart, mercy. Remember what Jesus said? Remember where we started? The whole beginning? He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted. If you want that, let's apply that. If you want to go into Christmas morning where you wake up and it's not about what others have done to you, but it's what Jesus has done for you, and you're like, I'm going to own this. I'm going to have peace on this day. I got a storm brewing all around me, but I'm actually going to live my life today with genuine peace and joy. If you want that, then it's time, I think, to come to God and say, God, would you heal my broken heart? Someone hurt me or people hurt me. You might have a long list. So here's what we're going to do. What we did the first weekend of this series. I'm going to pray for you. We need God's help. If you weren't here, let me explain something. I'm about to pray for you, and then we're going to sing a song. But while I pray, or during the song, I want to invite you to do something if you want to do that, if you're willing to do that. If someone has hurt you and it's not really landed with some resolution, when I grew up, the pastor would open up the front of this, as he would say, and it was called the altar. Where you would come up in front of the stage and kneel down and have a conversation with God. You're not bowing to something up here. You're kneeling out of symbolism to God and having a conversation with God. And if you want to know, how's that conversation go? Sometimes you don't say anything. He spends the whole time talking to you. So I'm going to pray, and some of us who have been hurt by someone need to have a conversation with God, and we need to go as far as coming up to the altar, kneeling down, and just spending time with Him. Now, some of us are like, no, I'm going to stay where I'm at. And that's cool, it's fine. Doesn't make you any less, more spiritual, anything. Some of you want to stand up. I just am inviting you to take the posture that you would like to take, but we need to know, am I allowed to come up to what's called the altar? Yes, you are, and you're invited to do so. To have a conversation with God about who hurt you and asking Him, God, would you heal my broken heart? So let me pray for you. God, God, I believe you have directed our conversation today. You have led us. God, I believe this topic and your wisdom were by your design that we would hear it today. God, help us to receive mercy and help us to give mercy. In the name of Jesus Christ, I pray that whoever has been hurt, God, that you would begin to heal their heart. That your supernatural healing power would go straight into their heart and begin to heal whatever happened. God, I pray that you'll help us to be brave. Brave to enter in front of you and ask for your help. Lord, for those who have had relationships fall apart because of anger, God, would you help heal our hearts? For those of us who have lost jobs or opportunities of any sort, Lord, would you help heal our hearts? Help us get rid of this anger. God, we surrender this time to you and ask that you do what you want done. We're open to it. I pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Bring it all to peace. The storm surrounding me, let it break. At your name, still. Call the sea to still. The region need to still. Every wave. At your name, Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble, Jesus, Jesus. You silence fear, Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble, Jesus, Jesus. Breathe, call these bones to live, call these lungs to see once again. I will praise Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble, Jesus, Jesus. You silence fear, Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble, Jesus, Jesus. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus. Your name is a light that the shadows can't deny. Your name cannot be overcome. Your name is alive, forever lifted high. Your name cannot be overcome. Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble, Jesus, Jesus. Silence fear, oh Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble, Jesus, Jesus.
Would you stand with us as we continue to sing?
Jesus, Jesus. Jesus, Jesus. Your name is a light that the shadows can't deny. Your name
Well, we don't want this moment to end for you. We just want you to know that this church is a place where you can come and be prayed for. Whatever you're going through in life, just know that there are people here that can relate with you. And there are people here that want to be there for you and to pray with you. And also, if you made the decision to follow Jesus for the first time today, we would love to walk through that decision with you. So we just want you to know that there are people out at the Next Steps area waiting for you right now to have that conversation with you and to talk about the next step in that for you and in your life. Well, we love you guys. We hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time.